Hello, I'm Robin and welcome to Molten Modular DIY. Set aside some time today because it's difficult to do DIY kits sometimes. They can take a big chunk of time, and I increasingly find that I just put them to one side and do something else and then never quite have the time to get stuck into them. So I have two here from Neutral Labs that I've been meaning to do and putting off and put off and put off. But now today I'm going to do them. I'm not going to answer my phone. I'm not going to look at the internet. I'm just going to sit down and spend what is a lovely May day soldering and enjoying the process of adding resistors to PCBs and filling around, and then enjoying what it is that happens at the end of all that. So that's my plan for today. I think I'll split these videos up just so that you can look at the one that's most interesting to you. But I'm going to be dealing with the Nermal and Meg. Those are the two. I'm going to kick off with the Nermal. The Nermal is a modulatable 3-level distortion crazy thing with a big fat teethy mouth on it that glows. I'd like to get to that stage. And you can certainly never have enough distortion in your rack, is what I always say. So that's my plan for today. I'm not going to be doing this in real time. I'm going to be talking about it a bit, putting some bits together, and then we'll go into time lapse for the actual soldering, unless something interesting or fascinating occurs during that time. I'll put on a bit of music and we'll relax and chill out and enjoy the build of this distortion. But by the way, if you like my t-shirt, because it is warm in here today, this is one of mine. One of my t-shirts, a jellyfish t-shirt, which you can buy these. You can have your own one, and a mug and a poster if you like. There's links below the video where you can get into all that sort of stuff if you'd like to support my channel in a bigger way than simply subscribing. You could also wear one of my t-shirts. That's very exciting. But anyway, should we get on with the kit then? I think that might be good. So let's open it up and have a look, see what's inside. So Neutral Labs always pack their kits beautifully in these lovely, look at this, look, it's just lovely, really nicely packaged. You have this sense of confidence when you open them where you think, yeah, this is going to work. Everything is labelled, you know where everything is. Of course, you know, that's assuming that what's inside is what it says on the packet, but that's just going to go with the belief that that's the case. So power cable, a couple of nice stickers, look at that, lovely. And then the PCB, doesn't look so hard, just a single PCB. A few bits and pieces on there. It's going to be a doddle, absolute doddle. Let's have a look at that front panel. There, I like it. Neutral Labs has a certain style, a panache to it. It's slightly crazy, edgy, out there, digital, messing about. I mean, they are responsible for this, for instance, this crazy thing up here, which just makes a whole load of noise. But interactive noise, which is kind of what we like. This has things on it like nibble, bite, ouch, soft, hard, scratch. So quite interesting, I think. And there's a cockerel back. That's awesome. So this is, as I'm making this during the day, it's probably going to be full of lots of animal noises, which is great. I'm embracing it. It's like, I mean, I've been away at the weekend at Super Booth to and from Germany, feeling fairly knackered, I have to say. So my plan is today, is post Super Booth, is just to relax and enjoy putting together a couple of kits, because that's how I like to spend my time. You know, this is me time. This is me time, and I'm inviting you into a little bit of that. So that's cool. So I've got the manual up and on the screen. I guess we should look and see where it's going to take us. Probably the front panel can go away for the minute. I'm not going to open these quite yet until I know what I'm doing. Well, I don't know when that, not sure when that bit happens. When is it that I know what I'm doing? That seems a bit bizarre. But anyway, let's have a look at the manual, see where we get to. So congratulations. Oh dear. Congratulations. We should never be congratulated on buying something. That's just crass. Do not empty any of the bags now. Good, right. So I haven't done that. This is a list for reference. Good, yeah. I like a good parts list. He even tells you what they are, which is great. Are these all listed on the board? So on the board, if you can see that here, everything's listed by number, not by value. So you're going to have to identify the component and then put it in by number, as opposed to identify them by their values. That makes sense, and then put them in. Oh, I don't know. It will become more obvious as we do it, I'm sure. Step-by-step instructions. Solder all the resistors first. Polarity doesn't matter. You do not have to read the ring codes or use a multimeter. Each bag contains a unique set of resistors. That's a good idea. So you will not find 2 sets of 4 in the same bag. Nice. Some of the resistors may be white, green or blue instead of beige as shown here. Don't worry, they all work the same. Great. Well, let's do that then. So resistors. Okay, so think about this. How am I going to do this? So essentially I just want to identify a bunch of resistors from each bag and put them in. Let's see what that looks like. So take out what you need when soldering. Okay, fair enough. So down to the resistors. So let's do R1 to R3. Let's find the bag that's got that in. That's this bag here. And we're not going to empty it all out, we're just going to get the resistors. Well, I say that, but see, those are the diodes. I know about those. I get a problem with bugs, flying things. I mean, I'm pretty sure that wasps spend their entire winter in my shed and then emerge at around this sort of time. I get at least 1, if not 2 a day, floating around going, oh, is it spring? I don't know. I have to deal with that. So if I suddenly run off shouting, that'll be the reason. So there's some resistors. And some more and some more. Another one. I think that's a lot. I'll put the diodes back for the moment. So within this bag, I should have R1 to R3, R9, R10, R16, 20, 25. So they're all the 10K ones. So there's 8 of those. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. See? That's a way of doing it. That means, as your man says, I don't have to use a multimeter. I don't have to read the rings. I know that there's 8 of them in this bag. The 8 of them are the 10K ones. Sorted. So I can put all those in. See what else I've got. Got 4 of these. These are the R5 to R8. R5 to R8, 4. There's 220K. Brilliant. I've got a single, which is the R11, and I've that sounds like somebody crawling on my roof. Probably a flipping cat. And I've got R12 to R14, 3, which are 100 ohm. Brilliant. Well, let's put them in and go. I'm going to turn on my soldering iron. It's always a good plan. It's a bit dry. I'll stick in some stuff as I've got a helicopter going overhead. This is just the normal stuff. Just the normal stuff I have to cope with in the everyday running of music technology. Trying to make video content for you good people. So, let's get on with it. I don't know how interesting this is going to be. So why don't I do the first couple. So let me do the first couple just to talk through it, and then we'll turn the cameras off and come back to it when we're on to the next bit. Yeah, sounds alright. Yeah, let's do that. Let's do that. So the 3 then I've got is R12 to R14. Just going to check that. R12 to R14. I'm going to need my magnifiers. Now people ask me where I get these from and whether I could recommend any. No, I found these down the back of my dad's shed. So I have no opinion on whether they're good or bad, but they do work, and they enable me to see things. They enable me to see things close up that otherwise I can't, because my eyes, they're just no longer functioning, really, I would say. Good, look, I can see things now, so a bit closer up. So what am I after? So what I do with these, I've got all these 3 together now. I know which ones they are. I take them off. I tend to hold them like so, bend them all at right angles, and then squish them, bend them all at right angles, and they're usually about right. 12 to 14. Now, I'd like to say that resistors tend to follow the numbers as they go along. That's not always the case. They could be completely scattered, as these ones appear to be. So that's R12. I can hear an incoming wasp. I'm trying to ignore it. Oh, that's a little bit tight. Didn't go in there quite as smoothly as I'd hoped, but never mind. 12, 13, there. Well, I'm making an early hash of this, but it has highlighted that the on these particular kits you need to bend the resistor legs quite close to the body. Of course, it's interesting building a regular kit like this, having since done all those Erica Synth educational kits where I'm trying to learn about circuit design, trying to learn where all the different bits go, which is a great and worthy thing to be doing, and I'm enjoying that tremendously. And it's also very, very challenging, but I'm learning a huge amount. This is R11. But the difference is that building this kit, I have no clue what any of this does. I have no clue why this resistor is going where it is. I'm just putting it together. I'm going to be soldering it, and I'm just enjoying that and that process. There's no other reason, no other thing going on, no other learning opportunities particularly. You know, I'm just placing and soldering, and that's okay. That's okay. But, you know, don't kid yourself that you're going to be learning all about circuits. What you're learning is soldering, and that's cool, and that's an interesting thing to do, a relaxing thing to do, I find, generally. And that may be enough. That may be all you want to do, and that's cool. So what have I got? I've got 4 here. So the 4s is the R5 to R8, I think. Yeah. R5 to R8 is what I need to find. So let's see if I can bend these just a little bit closer to the body. Maybe, who knows. R5 to R8. So yeah, I mean, that'll do. There's no point me sitting here chatting inanely necessarily. R5. R6. So what I'll do, right, so the plan using the method that Neutral Labs has set out here is I will put in all the resistors from one bag. I will solder all of them. Then I'll put in all the resistors from the next bag, solder those, next bag, solder those. So I'm going to do that whole lot. And after we've done all that, we'll come back and have a look and see what the next stage is. All right? Okay, good. See you then. I will just interject at this point, just to start the soldering off together, just to note that the resistor, the holes for the resistors are just that little bit close. So it's not making it a completely smooth operation of dropping those in there. But they're going in, it's not a problem. But let's just do our first bit of soldering together. So I'm going to put my fan on, which is just going to blow away the fumes, hopefully. Just hopefully not blowing into the mic, just blowing across here. Bring this in a bit closer so you can see what I'm doing. So I need to be about there. That's cool. So I've got my soldering iron up at 380. Seems to be what works well for me. Even though I've got my magnifiers on, I will wear safety specs because I value my eyes. They're the only thing about me that's... No, they're not working, are they? Well, they're working well enough. I think is my point. They could probably do a bit of a clean. Another good use for a t-shirt like this, you see, is it's really good for... particularly the material is great for cleaning glasses, I find. So that's another reason. See, that's so much better. Good. So solder, got some solder here. My solder is, I don't know, what is it? Sorry, 0.7 millimeter leaded I just like the leaded more. I'm sorry, I know it's probably poisonous and dangerous to the environment, and I'm killing dolphins and stuff, but it just works better. Now you can work with unleaded, absolutely you can, you just might need to have your soldering iron a little bit hotter perhaps, or just take a little bit more time over it. But this is really working for me, so I'm kind of sticking with it, because the last thing I need is more barriers in the way of my soldering, I would say. So from this camera then, all you do is, how am I best to see this? Okay, all we do is we heat up a pad and a leg. Present the solder to the other side of it, and with a bit of luck it should melt on there. There we goes. I always tend to put a little bit too much on, but that's okay. Sometimes you sort of present the solder to the end of the soldering iron just to get it to start to melt, and then you'll find that it flows. And it's just quite fascinating the way that this metal pours itself onto the pad and onto the leg. It is an extraordinary process. You know, it's the sort of thing that machines should be doing. But to do it yourself, you sort of witness this strange relationship between metals, pathways, electronics, electronics, which is something which seems to stand apart from us, when actually it's so visceral, it's so connected. I think you only understand that if you spend some time soldering something. Of course, there comes a point when it's just repetitive and nonsense, in which case, get a machine. But at a certain level, to do this by hand. Look, Wasp, clear off. You don't want to be here. You really don't. What's your purpose? Huh? What are you trying to achieve? There's a nice door over there to the outside world. You don't want to be in here. What was I saying? Probably something really deep and interesting. Just been ruined. But anyway, so that's all I wanted to say about just an introductory into the soldering side of it. I don't clean my PCBs afterwards. I just solder, and that for me is good enough for what I'm doing. I don't tend to get flux everywhere. It is what it is, and it's all right. I think. So that's it. Heat, solder, take solder off, take the heat off. It's a good one. And just make sure they look like volcanoes as opposed to balls or flat things. That's just it, really. Clean the end, either with a little bit of sponge is helpful, and then one of these wire wool type things are good. That's that. So yeah, I will see you on the other side. Rats. I run into a bit of a problem. I've soldered a resistor in the wrong place, which is always exciting, of course, because I turned out having one left that's supposed to go into 29, and I don't have a 29 space. I have a 19. I don't have a 29. Now, examining the board, I think this is 29, which I've put in here by accident because I didn't look closely enough at it. Because this should be, it's the same, it's a 220, I think, the same as 27, which is here, which should be there in 19, not in 29. So that's a pain. I mean, I guess one thing that would have been helpful, Mr. Neutral Labs, is to have just a picture of the PCB in the manual, in the build list, so that when you do make a mistake, you can go through and see the things behind the components. Do you know what I mean? Because your first picture, I mean, the pictures are great, but it has all of the resistors all over it, so you can't see the numbers. So to have a picture of the PCB blank would have been really useful at that point, as I'm trying to find where I put the wrong resistor, if you know what I mean. But I'm pretty sure it's there. I can't 100% see it, but I think that says 29 at the bottom. And that is the same one as the 27, which should be in the 19. Definitely. So I think it's that one. So we're going to go through a desoldering exercise, which is always, oh, it's a disaster. I'm no good. No good at this. But what you need is a solder sucker, or you need some of that braiding stuff that I can never get on with. I do have some of that somewhere, but I just can't. I don't understand how that works. But with this, I do to a degree. So which one is it? This one here, this corner. So this corner, what I need to do is heat it up till it melts, get me solder sucker, and go bam, and that should take the solder off. It's not bad. Heat this one up, bam. You don't need to say bam when you do it. So that doesn't look too bad. I might have gotten away with that. No, not exactly. Close. We're going to a pair of something or other that's not too sharp. See if I can persuade that to come out, because I don't want to ruin it, because I will also be using it or resoldering it again. So I'm going to try it again with a solder sucker. Doesn't seem to be a whole lot there to remove, but evidently it's doing something. So if I heat it up, try to push it through a little bit, that might help. Trying to get it moving. Points like this, you need sort of like 4 different hands, something pulling and pushing at the same time in order to try to prise this out. Oh look, it's going to come, it's going to come. Good. Whew. Got away with it. So this little bastard needs to go into 19. So let's try that. 19 is over there. It's going to be fiddly. I've already cut the legs off, obviously. Don't disappear. So that is recovered. So now I can put my R29 in there where it's supposed to go. And it's no longer caused a problem. So there we are, problem solved. Nice. Hit another snag. In that I'm missing 2 resistors. I mean, it's possible they flew away somewhere, somehow. Maybe when I got up to go and hit the wasp, but no, I don't think so. I don't think so. I don't think I have them. I haven't been doing anything weird or crazy. They should have been in this bag. R4 and R32. Should have had a 10, a 2, a 1, a 3 and a 4. And I remember it was the first lot that I did. Don't recall a 2 as such. So that is troublesome. Now, if you're in that situation, all you can do really is contact the person who you bought the kit from and say, oh, I'm missing something, and hopefully they can sort you out. Because I'm trying to just do this now, I'm going to access my weird tray of potential resistors. 2.2k is 2k2, isn't it? Yes. But these are so weak and weedy compared to the ones here, but you know, they're resistors. They just resist, don't they? That's the idea. So these are for R4 and R32, which are here. Finish this bit off. So that is all the resistors done. A couple of dodgy ones there in the middle. So there'll be different colours. Yeah. So now onto the diodes, except for the LED. Goes on later. Two types. There's a 4148 and the BAT85s. Pay attention to polarity. Black line must go with a white line on the PCB. Yes, indeedy. And then the IC sockets. Okay. Now I saw a bag that had all the diodes in. I think mostly this one. Put everything together. I think there's another one in the other bag. These are the what? These are the BAT85s. BAT85s. You can tell just by the slight shading. No, you can't. You can't tell. You just have to go with it. Sorry, strange noises outside. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 of these, and these are to go into D1 to 8, and then 11 and 12. Seems simple enough. So I will stick these in, as I say. You see the white line on the PCB, like that. That has to go with the black line on the diode, because diodes only let current flow in one direction, and that's the door, if you like. That's where it's shut. It can't go that way. It can only flow through it. So you need to make sure that they are the right way round. So that would be the wrong way round for D5 there. You see, I need to have that way around. You see? Do you get it? Good. I'll stick all those in, and I'll see you at the end of that. Good, that's all the diodes in place. Next up, IC holders. IC holders are going to be, I don't know, where are they going to be? In this one? Dip sockets, yeah, see, that's the word we're after. Dip sockets. IC holders are also called dip sockets. That's a good thing to mention, I would have thought. Perhaps. Anyway, get these out of the way. Let's see what we have. So, I'm going to need the knobs. These all look like the sort of things. Oh, look at that. I've got a bit of a bendy leg. It's not a good sign. Right, so IC holders. Soldering them all. They'll have a little notch which shows which way around they need to go. An easy way to solder these sockets is set them all into PCB holes, lay the front panel on a piece of cardboard and flip the whole thing over. Yeah, okay, that's my style, man. That's what I like to do. So we've got some 4s, some 3s, well 6s, obviously 8s, because you know there's got doubleness. 14. So all we've got to do is find out where they go on here. It's probably not that important. So the big one goes at the top. See the notch? Notch is going to go in there. I tend to just pull on one of the legs or two just to try to help them stay in a little bit. And below that I've got a couple of these 6s. Try to keep that notch around the right way. That way around, that way around. And I've got an 8 in the middle. There's a 4, that's heading up the other direction. Like that. One more. No, not one more. 2 of the 8s, 3 and 1. I've got a spare. Well, that's fascinating. Alright, put that to one side. So what I do, as I say, take a piece of cardboard. I happen to use this piece of plastic here. I put them on nice and tight. Turn it over. Slide it on. And with a bit of luck, they haven't all just come out. And then what I tend to do, I solder a corner and then check. So let me do that on all of them. And sort of push down, apply a bit of pressure so it's likely to stay as flat as possible. And if you only do one leg, then I hold my finger on it before I take off the soldering iron. Then if it is all messed up, it's easy to desolder. If you do 2 legs, 3 legs, half the row or something, that just makes it more and more difficult. So I hold it with my finger before pulling off the soldering iron. So there's one there. I think so. Oh, I missed one. Damn it. Damn it. But the others, as you can see, are all pretty flat, so they're good, so I can go ahead with those. This one, annoying one. This one here. Give that a leg. That looks good. Okay, so that's them all on a single leg. And what I'll do is I'll go and solder the rest, and it will be a good one. Right, IC sockets in. Good. Now we're moving to the power header and the capacitors. So you can solder the small capacitors first so they don't fall out when fitting the larger ones. Okay. Polarity matters for almost all the capacitors except for C12, which is a bipolar electrolytic one. It does have one short and long leg, but the orientation doesn't matter. However, make sure not to confuse the C12 with any of the other ones. So C12 is in here, so is C13, so is all the other ones. So let's look at some capacitors then. Got those. I'll empty this out, I think. It's going to be easier at this point. Power header is in there. But no, I just emptied it out and it isn't in there. What are you talking about? Power header. What are you talking about? Oh, you mean the... oh, I got you. Yeah. You need the spiky thing. I was actually expecting a shrouded one. Okay, not to worry. So that's the power header. There. So you kind of want to do things in high order. So if something is higher than something else, do the smaller stuff first. So these are slightly smaller, but they're going to be raised up a little bit. So you might be able to do all this at once, but I would leave the 2 larger ones until last. Let's put these capacitors in. So I've got 5 of these. So these should be C1, C2, 14, 15 and 16. And there should be 10. It will say on the side what they are. See, that's confusing. So that's 0.1 microfarad, whereas there should be 10 microfarad. No, out of this bag. Get the bag right. 0.1 microfarad. There we go. C4, 6, 8, 9 and 10. Gee whiz, let's get it right. Shall we? That would be good. So these are always hard to come out, I find. They get all sticky and stupid. But you should end up with one one leg longer than the other. I don't know why these are peculiarly shaped. That's just going to make it slightly more awkward putting them in. But these are supposed to be C4, C6. So C6, where's C4? Up here. So long leg positive. It says on here, they see the band there. See the band there, that's negative, and that is to the shorter leg. So the longer leg is positive. See on the board you've got positive there, so that goes in, and then the one next to it, somehow you've got to squeeze those in weirdly. It's a weird ones. And then, I mean, maybe it's easier just to cut those bits off. I don't know. But alright, he's in. Like that. He's so stupidly weird. So maybe out. I'm going to debend them. I think it's probably the idea first. So what we're doing, C6. That was down here. Long leg positive. These are a right mess. Okay, long leg positives. Long leg positive. I'm going to solder these in, then I'm going to do the power header, then I'm going to work on the larger ones. That's the plan, if you're still with me at this point. These are quite small pads, so there's always a danger of bridging. You've got to be a little bit careful. Doesn't look like that, so that's better. It's tricky to get that tip into there sometimes. See, that's just gone straight up my soldering iron. So, come on. Right, for the power header, doesn't matter which way round it goes. It will do when you put the power plug in. So, am I going to be able to just put that down like that and that stay in? Yes, I am. Whoa. Just got that over nicely there. Now, these go notoriously wonky. But I think if I apply some pressure, that looks pretty flat to me. Solder that one. Keep the pressure on. That looks gorgeously flat. I can do the opposite corner. So the rest of these capacitors then. So I've got these two. The rest are going to be chunky. So I've got the one, which is this one, 1 microfarad. This is the bipolar one that it doesn't really matter, but I might as well stick it in anyway. C12, which is here. So look, it doesn't have a positive or negative on the board, so it doesn't really matter. So let's just go in through there. This one is 13, 2.2. There, long leg positive, 1 microfarad. Long leg positive. I have to tell myself every time, without a doubt. 4.7 microfarad. 4.7 is C7. So that definitely is 4.7. C7, long leg positive. And this should be 47. Long leg positive. These were all 10 microfarads. They should all be the same. 10, yes they are. C1, C2. C1, long leg positive. 16, long leg positive. Is that all of those? Yep, alright. Solder away. Good. That's all the capacitors on. It's looking like a proper thing now. Apparently got to put the ICs in now, which are in this silver bag. Weird things these are. I've seen these white ones before. So we've got these three, which that's an 8. That's the 14 and another 8. Are they the same? No. So I'm going to need to know where they go. It says it's important not to confuse them. Yeah, right. So where do they go? Because if it said what they were on the board, I can no longer see that, because I've got the IC holder over the top. La-di-da. Well, first of all, I can use my tool, which is this, in order to squash the legs. So I can do this one. So this is the only one that's of this size. I put it in here, just give it a squeeze, and it just makes it drop into the IC holder nice and smartly. Otherwise, you'll probably have to just rock it on one side or the other, just to bend the legs in a little bit. Otherwise, you'll find that it won't quite go in. Now, it needs to be not that way round. It needs to see, just check on the PCB that you've got the nick in the right place, a little curvy bit, the bit that tells you which way round your chip goes, because you need that dot in the corner to go alongside with it, the same way around, and then you just push it in. Easy. Now these three here, are these all the same? Let's just go back up to my bill of materials. OK1 to OK3 bilateral analog FET optocoupler. Oh yes. Oh yes. And those are the 6s. They're the same. I can just about see through there that it says OK. What's it? Oh, so these things in here, how do you get them out, do you think? Do I push them down or push them up? Or just smack them? Okay. So I'll treat these to my little tool as well. Now, is there a way round these go? Yeah, because they've got a dot. So the dot needs to go also, check the PCB, where that front end is. Darn it, bit fiddly. So that goes that way around. That dot to the front, drops in smart. Let's get another one. So FET optocouplers, that sounds like distortion to me. So that's what these probably are all about. So there's supposed to be 3 stages of distortion. So it needs to make sure it goes the right way around, which for this one is this way. Good. Now I've just got these 2 4s, which I don't know which way around they are. So I've got U3, I can see through there, and U4. U3 should be the TL072, which is this one. They're not hard to get out if you do get it wrong. And the other one is an NE555, which is the timer, which goes into 4, which is pointing in that direction. Good, that's the ICs in. Okay, last component on this side is the L7805. What's that, do you think? Do you think it's this? L7805, sort of a power regulator kind of thing. Make sure it's correctly orientated. The heatsink metal side should match the double line of the white line. Okay. So this on here, this way around, goes into this hole up the top here, and it wants the metal side, which is this side, to be facing that. So it should just go like that. Probably not going to want it sticking up, and on the picture there they have indeed bent it over. Cool. Now flip it over, solder in the D9, the LED. Really? After pushing it in all the way, long leg positive. Okay. That's unusual because you usually put the LED in sort of last because it has to be presented to the board. But because this is going to sit behind. What was I saying? Yeah, so normally an LED would poke through the front panel, but this is going to sit behind the front panel to give us a glow. So it doesn't matter. So this is going to go on first, long leg positive. You see the square holes are usually positive, and this way round it's the other, completely the opposite, which is interesting. There. So we need to somehow squeeze our soldering iron into here. So you don't want to be melting your IC holder or your capacitors. There's just enough room to get that in there. Cool, yeah, that went alright. So remove the washers, remove the washers from the pots. That doesn't have one. That doesn't have one. That doesn't have one. So that was easy. And the outer nuts and washers from all the switches, but leave the lower nuts on the switches. So the outer nuts fit all the remaining components on the PCB without soldering. Right. We can put these in here with abandon. Switches are just going to rock about, so I'll do those last, I think. For the jack sockets, you've got your front leg. And there's usually just enough friction to hold them in. And then the switches, which are going to wobble like crazy. Now they seem to suggest an orientation, but I don't think that's actually true. Like that. Good. Now put on the front panel. Alright, this is going to be clever. Alright, I've already blown it. Oh! Yes. Okay, so it says add the washers. You mean the nuts, right? For the pots. Just to hold it down. If you're happy with all of that, it's looking pretty happy. You then turn it over, and then we've got to get stuck into all of the soldering in here. That's going to be fun. That's all moving about. It's totally fine. Totally fine. Good bit of soldering to do. See you in a minute. Well, that seems to be it. That's all the soldering done on this side. I don't think I need to take the front panel off again. So it purely comes down to putting the rest of these screws on. Now, of course, if I put all these on here before testing it, then the likelihood is I'm going to have to be taking it all off, aren't I, in order to fix something. So what I'll do is I will put all the screws on, but I won't put the knobs on quite yet. So for the power cable, stripe down that side, so it needs to go in like this. It says stripe there. Let's see if we can make it make some noise. Okay, so for this, just going to pop this in here, hopefully. So the first test is whether it actually makes smoke or not. So it's plugged into power. I'll turn it on. Ooh, we get a light, a nice orange glow behind the teeth. Nothing seems to be on fire. That's all a good sign. So ultimately what I want before, I mean, I'll give it a proper going over. I just want to make sure that things are happening. So these are presumably control voltages over these different bits. That's an input, that's an output. So I want an output going into there. But what I'll first test is I'm getting a noise going through my system. So that's a yes. So output is there. And I want to patch from the output of my saw into here. Just turn the volume down. That's good. Now that seems to do something. That seems to do something. Well, there you go. That's working to one degree or another. I don't really know what it does yet. So it says that something's not right. Most problems are easily fixed. Everything's working correctly. I'm kind of assuming that it is, but I will check into that. But I think I only can put the knobs on and call it a good one. Interesting. And then I can start finding out what it's all about. Nice. So the last bit for this is the knobs. Turn the knob all the way to one way and kind of put it on. Trying to get these ones to more or less match. Yeah, that looks good. So when you're happy with that, push them down. Try not to do anything bad to your finger underneath. Push them down. So there's the Nermal by Neutral Labs. It's a beautiful front panel. I love the teeth. Absolutely love the teeth. That's the Nermal. So there you go. Nice little build. I appreciate all of the things being put in the envelopes in that way, the resistors and such like. I thought that's a really nice idea. It's a shame about the missing resistors though. That's a bit of a bummer, but never mind. We got through it. I was able to get through that. The soldering itself was relatively easy. It's not tight on the board or difficult, even when you're doing some of the soldering from the opposite side. To do the front panel components, there was room enough to get your soldering iron in there, so not too difficult. A good size, I would say, for that. And that was just over 2 hours. I did have a little bit of fiddling about in the middle. I can tighten these up now, I think, can't I? But not too bad. 2 hours from kit to completed, interesting, to be examined distortion module. I hope that was helpful, and with a bit of luck I'll do another demo with it and stick that on the end of this video as well, just to give you a bit more of an example of what it's all about. Otherwise, go make some tunes.